The personality epidemic is a very important topic that I think more of us need to discuss. Bringing back substance, depth, and character to why we love, share, and buy products. As someone who genuinely loves beauty, wellness, thrift and vintage fashion, and culturally rich experiences, I've been craving something that feels like the cross between a Substack article read and a traditional YouTube video. So I created it. Welcome back to the Mac Edit. My name is M.A.C, and I'm sharing the meaning and character behind some of our favorite purchases and experiences. I strongly believe a lot of us undervalue the influence of our own influence. Sure, it's great to lean into trends and favorites, but has all of this access made us abandon our own taste, decision making, and our personality? Are we in the middle of a personality epidemic? Or should I say, a lack thereof? What is the meaning and character behind what we like, why we enjoy it? I'd love to stop and ask, are we turning into a collective of our algorithms? Swaying left and right on how we move our bodies. What do we put onto our bodies as far as our clothing, our beauty, our products? Even just like the standards that we abide by. I think all of these are very fair game questions, so let's do a little exploring. Ironically enough, there's kind of like this viral moment going on socials right now about bringing back being hot. And obviously being hot is subjective. It's relative, but it got me thinking. It sounds like we're collectively craving the ability and the outlets to express ourselves and to express an actual personality. And let's just say it, let's just be honest, to actually put effort in. Everyone has like slowly as a society stopped putting in effort. And personally, I feel hot. I feel absolutely like a smoking hot babe when I feel like myself, when I feel like myself and I'm not cosplaying or have this adornment of things that I didn't really ever like to begin with. Things that I wasn't naturally more drawn to and I just kind of fell into. When you have things in you, on you, taking up your mindset that don't align with where you want to go, what you're drawn to, your interests, your personality, you're not gonna feel hot. You're just not gonna feel hot. It's an outer body experience when you don't feel hot because you don't feel like yourself. Like you don't feel like you're operating and moving with the confidence that you wish that you had because you have things for other people. Don't get me wrong. I fully recognize that this takes a lot of work to get to this place of feeling muy bonita and feeling hot, whatever that means to you, but also it is from a place of privilege. Because let's face it, when you're in survival mode, the last thing that you're concerned about is like curating and nourishing your personality, your wardrobe, your habits, all of those things. We're just trying to survive, okay? We're just trying to make it.
I'm a survivor! I'm a survivor! What? What? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Make it. It's hard out here. It's a crazy world we live in crazy times. Everything is an unprecedented time. I'm tired of living through unprecedented times, and I'm sure you are too. But nonetheless, that is why I believe this conversation is so important. Because without being too vain or narcissistic or preachy about it, when is the last time? Seriously, come here. When is the last time you genuinely put in a concerted effort into anchoring your personality, refining your taste, figuring out what you like, having new hobbies in a way that feels really authentic to you? It could be a mixture of things. It doesn't have to be this one aesthetic. Things that really feel like you. When was the last time you felt hot? Like hot. When is the last time you felt so hot? So tea. Name it. And if it's been too long, it's time to reassess. It's time to do what we're going to do together. And in my professional opinion, I don't think it should cost $1 million or take a lot of privilege and access to be able to have hobbies, to be able to curate your personality and understand your interests and to go after things that you want to go after. I don't believe in that gatekeeping. What kind of movement does your body crave? What colors do you wear that make you feel just so beautiful and put together? How does your routine support your goals? Where and who do you feel supported by? These are all important questions, so let's journey a bit further. My hot take is that you don't feel hot and that collectively we lack individualism in our personality because you don't have hobbies. And our hobbies and our interests are gatekept behind so many paywalls. And when you don't feel embodied, you don't feel hot, period. There's been this rise and like genuine fall off, like fall off in genuine hobbies, genuine. And I feel like this has done a few things. One, from an attitude perspective, sitting back and watching everyone online that you perceive to have so many hobbies has actually made it feel more aspirational than relational, than realistically based in your life. Okay, take it like this. So if you're constantly seeing other people as inspo rather than seeing yourself as inspo, or making things a reality for yourself, then it always continues to be this like pipe dream, this pin on your Pinterest board. Why can't you start to paint with paint supplies from like the dollar store? Why can't you start studying film? But there comes a point where aspiration just turns into envy because you don't necessarily see the entry point for you to get into this hobby. You don't see the point in jumping into something that already feels so saturated. Basically, our access to everything has skewed our perspective of what it means to have impact in our own personal lives. And when I think about this practically, I think about how we can show up in our lives in small, joyous ways. You know, I'm like a broken record when it comes to daily joys, just checking things off of a very small to-do list that bring you joy during the day, like getting up and going for a walk in the middle of the workday, making sure you take your vitamins, calling a loved one for 5 to 10 minutes, just small little things that remind you that, you know, you can touch grass and it doesn't have to be online. This way, I think of it as a way you're not postponing the joy until you fulfill the pin on your Pinterest board. And think of it this way, like when you fall in love in a healthy way, it's usually because someone is showing up as themselves, imperfect, consistently, I hope, and you fall in love with them. Period. Full stop. And you should be able to do that for yourself. Like showing up for yourself makes you fall more in love with yourself and strengthen your decision making. Again, not in like a vain narcissistic way, but truly builds confidence in what you like and what you don't like and being able to stand on business when it comes to that. And somewhere along the line, we've outsourced being able to show up for ourselves to our Pinterest board, to other people, to trends. You have to actually show up for yourself in order to validate, you know, your confidence and being able to build a personality and to be hot. Waiting until you are the final boss of your goals and fulfilled this, you know, idea in your head of this aspiration, it's truly just delaying the joy, delaying the confidence, delaying the personality that you have to show and that you have to develop right now. And wait, I have to show you this because a great example, you don't have to wait until you can walk into a designer store or into any store really to feel like you have to have your dream wardrobe in order to feel put together. I love to thrift. Okay, reuse, reduce, recycle, and just find great quality pieces for a fraction of the cost. Like, for example, por ejemplo, I literally thrifted this Miu Miu skirt. We're gagged by her. And does this look like a burlap sack to some? Maybe, possibly. But I don't care. I love it. And I didn't have to go into debt trying to fit this aesthetic. I actually went in there and let the pieces speak to me. That's like one of my favorite things about thrifting is that you go in there and you're drawn to items and you just have to have a personality in order to do that. Another one, even though these are more like basic pieces, like staple closet pieces, this is a DKNY little stretchy mini skirt for the summer, spring, summer. Okay, hello. And even just like these jorts, these trouser jorts that I thrifted, I absolutely love these. These are so fun. They're so comfortable. And they're not everyone's cup of tea, but they're my cup of tea. And for me personally lately, I feel like I've been leaning more into dresses and skirts rather than just always throwing on an oversized pair of jeans because I do value my comfort first and foremost, okay? Especially when you're bloated, like things just aren't sitting right, fitting right, and you would like to put a garbage bag over your head. Sometimes just putting on a nice little thrifted dress that makes you feel muy bonita, okay, and whatever that is for you, it's just so key. It's just so crucial. So let even my just little couple thrift pieces show you that you don't have to delay until you have the designer items, the expensive things. You can get them at your price point. You can do what you need to do relative to your life in order to make you feel more hot. And I think we need to ask ourselves more. What would I choose to do actively for fun, with no social, economic, or reward attached to it? I am so reward based, and I'm sure many of us are. Something that I read recently was talking about switching from a craftsman mindset to an artist. And so what that looks like is a craftsman has a product or an end goal plans that they have in place and they build towards that. They march towards that thing until it's produced, until it's made. So boom, then it's done. And you've achieved the goal, you've built the thing, you've built the product. Whatever it is, you march towards that goal, you finished it. But then thinking along the lines of an artist is you start with an overarching question, and then you go on this journey of discovery, and then you find solutions and ideas along the way. And even just that small shift in perspective has done wonders for, I feel like, unlocking creativity for me, but also does wonders for how I look introspectively at myself and my own personality, but introspectively at the world. Because I'm not just looking for the end product and trying to spot that out and circle it like it's a crossword puzzle. I am journeying towards whatever it is and finding beautiful things along the way. And what I'm about to say is very countercultural to, I feel like, what is preached on the internet. Not everything has to be a business. Not all of your hobbies, not the thing that you are good at has to be a business. And I really got heated about this the other day because we've all had run-ins with businesses, service professionals, whatever it is, who just should not be, frankly, running a business. Because if you don't like the business of running a business, you should not have a business with that thing. I don't care how good you are at that thing. Doing hair, doing makeup, selling a product, technology, whatever it is. Yes, you can build a team and all of these things that excel in different areas like crunching the numbers, strategy, marketing, organization, scheduling, administrative. You can build out teams, right, to handle all of that. But first, before you have the team, you are the team. You're your own team. So if you don't want that thing that you love and feel really deeply connected to as a hobby to be a monetized, economic, or reward-based final boss product, then don't make it a business. Not everything has to be a business. I know. That is so counter to what is going on the internet right now. Not everything has to be a business. Just because you can, do your winged eyeliner does not mean that you need to be a makeup artist. Just because you look good in the gym doesn't mean you know how to properly educate and fix people's form in the gym and be a personal trainer. Just because you know how to read a book doesn't mean you should be a teacher. The list could go on. Harsh truth, I'm sorry to be that girl, but I feel like it's a form of protection, honestly, because some things you just need to keep for yourself and keep simple and keep it a hobby. It just doesn't always need to be a business. Enjoy it. Enjoy the walking club. Enjoy painting just for fun. Enjoy doing your own makeup or even your friends and family just for fun. Enjoy whatever that thing is as a hobby, and don't always think that this has to be your next big break. Keep some things so simple. Keep it simple. Like, speaking of thrifting, people ask me all the time, like, why don't I do some kind of online consignment shop or do some kind of personal thrift shopping, personal styling shopping, all of those kinds of things. And to be quite frank with you, I've considered it. But the simple answer is because I can't reach a flow state when I'm thrifting if I'm thinking about if this is going to make me the most money or someone else is going to like it or any other things floating in my head. I need to enter into that thrift shop and just catch a vibe. And that would simply be ruined, honestly, if I monetize it in some kind of way. It's a form of personality. It's a form of personal expression. And I just don't want to. And it could be that simple. I just want to enjoy it for myself, keep it for myself, and I just don't want to. So find something that you love and you're just like, when I do it, I just want to do it because I want to. I just want to do it for myself. I just want to do it because I can and because it expresses me and it makes me feel good and it harms no one. Okay, make sure it does that. Make sure you're not harming anyone in the process of your thing. Like, for example, because I have more, some of the things that I thrift just aren't for everyone. They aren't for everybody. I feel great in them. They look great on me, but it's maybe something you wouldn't pick up for yourself. Like, this top is so cutie. It has these wide double layered sleeves and it's a little preppy. It's fitted around the bodice. This is not something everyone would pick up. Or even just these woven flats that I got. It's a little more boho chic, and not everyone wants to find a vintage Dolce & Gabbana tennis dress, okay, with a little that just gives. It's not for everybody. You should be able to confidently look at someone else in their outfit or in their form of expression and be like, I love that for you. If you like it, I love it. Again, not harming anyone. If you like it, I love it. And you look great in it. You look amazing in it. It may not be for me. I may not have picked that out at the thrift store. I may not have painted that. I may not have said that. And of course, there's crossover. You can like it. You can agree. But you have to be able to stand on what you like because you truly like it. You can pick things out of trends because you truly like them, not just because the whole thing has been broadcast to you and you have to adopt the whole aesthetic. And I feel like somebody's mother, because we talk about social pressure like it's something new, like this is a new wheel that we have reinvented in this generation with social media, but it's not. It's not a new concept. It has always existed. The difference is it used to come from a few centralized sources. Now it comes from everywhere and anywhere at any given moment. Like, let me give you a little history lesson. During medieval times, the church was the centralized authority on culture, morals, values, what you wore, what you did, who you saw. The Catholic Church, for example, in medieval times wasn't just about religion. It was about morality. It was about behavior, fashion, even. It decided what was modest, what was sinful, what was acceptable, all from the pulpit. And even things, for example, like public confession or social shame drove the fears in people's heart of why or why not they did things. So like even before algorithms were the ones who decided what was right, what was in, what was viral, institutions were in place to do those very things. Obviously, it goes without saying that religion plays a huge role in our society and our culture today, but it doesn't have the same tightly woven knit strength over the cultural fabric as it did, say, back in medieval times, for example, because there is so many other sources where people, especially younger generations, are getting their quote unquote inspiration from. Even myself, I grew up as an AME, African Methodist Episcopal Church. It's one of the few historically Black church institutions in America, and it heavily influenced how I grew up. Heavily doesn't even do it justice, to be honest with you. Like, shape the entire framework. But the AME Church, for example, doesn't have the same influence that it used to wield, especially during civil rights and even pre-civil rights. It doesn't have that same knockout punch when it says or sets a standard for something. Again, because there are so many other avenues where people are getting their sources from, their religious inspiration, spiritual guidance, and all of the things. Even in the rise of non-denominational churches, people have started to de-institutionalize the church, which is an institution of itself. So again, we're not reinventing the wheel here. After the Gutenberg press was invented, all bets are off. We're talking about pamphlets, newspapers, books, okay? Pick up a book. Ideas spread rapidly. It was just things that were talked about and passed on in tradition and institution. Now we're talking about books that can more rapidly spread ideas. And we're starting to see publications influence public opinion, politics, beauty, social norms. Think of it as like early viral, but very slow. Very slow. Mass influence didn't just start with social media, it sped up. Because social media even so much as digitizes just the concept of the beauty salon or the barbershop. Gathering spots that we used to just come, shoot the shit, go to the salon, figure out what was going on, what was trending, what was the news in town. Influence used to be more intimate, if you will, and gatekept. It was more like who was in the room rather than how many people were in the room. Then as we move into like the 1920s and 50s, we start to move into Hollywood and celebrity culture. Boom, boom, boom. That's when you have Hollywood studios start to pop up, and then people are looking to movie stars for what kind of diets are they on, what are they wearing, what kind of makeup, what is the look. And this is where the curation and illustration of an image start to come into play, because now we're seeing people on our TVs, now we're seeing people in our movie theaters, in our homes, and we want to look and emulate a certain aesthetic. So that like highlight reel, Pinterest curation kind of feel existed again before a perfectly curated Instagram feed or a perfectly curated Pinterest board. It was these large Hollywood studios that controlled the image. And even thinking about to when I was a kid, Disney, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, these things were studios that shaped how we saw the images coming into our own home. And then we get into modern advertising. The creator of modern advertising, which is accredited to a figure like Edward Bernays. Mind you, this is Freud's nephew, so talk about psychology, okay? He started linking products to emotion, identity, and status. So think about like the idea of making cigarettes a status symbol. Who did that? A lot of people think they're just our personal preferences, but a lot of it was marketing and engineered to you. And for real, cancel culture used to be hyper local. And if you grew up, you know, with your mom calling her homegirls and whatever, you know, cancel culture used to start on those phone lines. You know, cancel culture used to start in the community and who said what and who did what, and you knew it happened before it was on Facebook, before all these other things, before widespread cancel culture. There was community cancel culture. Pre-digital towns, your reputation was everything. Community expectations, clubs that you were a part of, all of these things played into your image. I used to think it was an internet, social media problem, but it really is just a cultural shift in who defines and sets the norm for what is hot. I've been thinking about how easy it is to curate yourself around what is trending, right? But how do you break away from that? Or how do you take what you need out of what is trending and leave what you don't? It's taken a lot of intentionality to interrupt that perpetual loop. The first habit that I 100% leaned into was creating before you consume. Create before you consume. If you have an idea, write it down and start running with it. Don't even open up Google. Don't even open up Chad. Don't even open up Pinterest, Instagram, boop to the bop to the bop to the bop. Create before you consume. Just let your ideas and your creativity run wild before you start interrupting it with other people's influence. Even if it's small, journaling. You see me journal all the time because I'm constantly just writing out my thoughts. Picking out an outfit, deciding what to eat, where to go. Make a decision for yourself first before asking 5 different people. It helps to establish this baseline where you don't become as reactive. You don't just jump to go get the opinions and the approval of 5 other people. You actually learn how to make a decision. And if you don't define your taste early, you'll spend way too much time borrowing someone else's. Get it through your thick head that being hot is not a universal look, especially when it comes to race, religion, locality, cultures. There are different standards across the board. What looks hot in one spot is not hot in another, and boop to the bop to the bop to the bop. Like, your version of being put together doesn't have to broadly be appealing. When you think about the people who you find the most magnetic, it's because they are authentically and unapologetically showing up and being themselves. They have a very specific thing. You can look at something and it reminds you of that person because they have a specific image that obviously they're curating, but it's true to themselves. It feels authentic. Their look, their energy, their references, they don't just translate to everyone. It doesn't land. So just remember, you're not trying to be liked by everyone. You're trying to recognize yourself, most importantly. Amen. One thing I'm unlearning is the need to make my choices make sense to everyone else. Obviously, you have to have some discernment. You have to have some wise counsel. You have to have boundaries and things in place. But whether it's how you spend your time, what you prioritize, or even how you present yourself, over-explaining essentially waters down your identity. It just waters it down. It leaves no mystery. So say less, be very grounded and defined instead of constantly over-explaining or letting the audience define it for you. Think about editing your inputs like you would edit an outfit. This is where the curation comes in. Who do you want to follow? What do you want to read? What spaces do you show up in? What spaces do you not allow yourself to show up in? Do you want to challenge yourself to understand better? How can you broaden your worldview? And if something feels very forced, very overdone, noisy, not clear, that means it's not aligned. You have to find out what that means for you, be honest with you. Unfollow those accounts that make you second guess yourself and curate references that expand you, that make you feel like you're growing and that interest you, that make you laugh, that make you key, that make you think a little bit deeper. And this is probably one of my favorites. Romanticize your own pattern. Instead of trying to constantly optimize or even sometimes fight against the things that you like, romanticize them. I love a solo date. And some people think that that's weird. Some people think that liking to spend time by yourself is strange. Guess what? I love it. Okay? That doesn't mean I'm an extroverted person. I love to hang out with my friends. I love to be out, boop to the bop, and doing all the things. But I just as much love and cherish time doing things by myself and pushing the bounds of that. Solo trips, going on dates, taking myself out to dinner, walking around the museum, walking around art galleries, like whatever it is. It's always like going back to that kid-like self that's inside of you and saying, what did you like to do? And expanding on that in an adult and lovely way that feels authentic and beautiful. What is wrong with that? Absolutely nothing. Really just think about what version of yourself feels the most effortless and build around that. Because not everything about you needs to be fixed. Not everything needs to be optimized. Not needs to be productive. It doesn't need to be the best of the best, the creme de la meow meow. You may not be the best dancer, but you may enjoy dancing. You may not be the best painter, tennis player, whatever it is, but you enjoy it. You may not be the best thrifter or have the best fashion sense, but put that shit on. So let yourself try things, be messy. It doesn't always have to be curated and perfect. So I say all of that to say, being hot is very individual, very, very individual. Bring back being hot, bring back individual personality. Being hot is like quieter than people expect, but it reads so much louder. So we're going to end this personality epidemic that we're in. Yes. Thank you for hanging out on another Mac edit. I love you guys so much. Catch you on the next one. Bye.